Hello, this is Jason P. Wilson, Zero in X-Force, and today is October 11th, 2011, and today is a Tuesday. And this is a special posting I am putting up on my picks for the DC New 52 launch. These I have in two stacks, the first stack being the definite keeps for the entire runs, the ones I'm most committed to. And the second stack are titles that I'm going to pick up for the first story arc and then decide which of those I'm going to be keeping. So first here, for my absolutely keeping stack, these are the comics that I have the most faith in, I'm the most excited about, and the ones I definitely want to keep for their entire runs. And first up here, probably no surprise, is Justice League. Now, there's just more than one reason why I'm keeping Justice League. Obviously, Jeff Johns and Jim Lee together for the first time, that makes it a definite pickup by itself. But more than that, it's Justice League is a comic that I've always read, but I've never had a full run of. I've always loved Justice League. I liked what they've done with it before, but I've never had like one through whatever of an entire run. So I was very excited with this whole relaunch that not only were they having Justice League be number one again, but they were going to have it be the flagship, the main title, the first title to be picked up, and the one they're going to be putting most of their focus on, probably even more than Action or any of the other big books. That was really exciting because I don't know if they've ever done that. I mean, Justice League has always been a big title, but they seem to be giving it more focus and more energy and more dedication than they've had ever before that I have seen. So all those reasons put together, and then you add on top of that this is the formation of the Justice League, this is the founding of it, and this story arc, this first one at least, maybe the first few, is 5 years before the current timeline of the new DCU. So all those factors together made this an absolute must-get for me and keep. The only negative thing I had, the only one thing I would say that I didn't like, and that is with all these, A-listers, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, these are all, founding members that we must have still be founding members. And then you have Cyborg. Now look, I like Cyborg. In fact, I like him quite a bit. I loved him on Teen Titans. But when I think Cyborg, I think Teen Titans. I think someone who came up under the shadow of superheroes, and I see him as a second, third generation superhero. And I understand that you have the Martian Manhunter, Johns, excuse me. You have him with Stormwatch. But there are a lot of other heroes, A-list heroes, they could have picked instead of Cyborg to be one of the founding members. So when I think of Cyborg, it's hard for me to think of him as a founding member right next to Superman and Batman and Green Lantern and Flash and Wonder Woman. That's just really difficult. But that's the choice they made, and that's my only gripe. But I'm really excited about Justice League, and I can't wait to read the upcoming story arcs. Next up here is one of the two big legacy titles, and that is Batman Detective Comics. Now, in my lifetime, I didn't think I would ever have the privilege to be at, issue number 1, ground floor of Detective Comics or Action Comics. So when they were relaunching the whole DCU and said that, yes, we're going to relaunch everything, I was surprised. I really was. They've relaunched many times before, but they've never started Detective or Action at number 1, ever. It's been the two titles that were like the legacy, you can mess with everything but those two titles. So knowing that they were so dedicated and serious about this relaunch shows me that this isn't a gimmick like Marvel and DC have done many times before. This is something they really are putting everything into. A true relaunch. Now, I know it doesn't really, the continuity doesn't affect a lot of the big titles like Green Lantern and Batman Incorporated, that kind of stuff. But showing that they were dedicated enough to restart two books that they've never started before, I definitely wanted to have the privilege of starting Detective Comics from issue 1. And I was very pleased that it started out with a bang. And I'm one of the people that really enjoyed Detective Comics and what Tony Daniel and Ryan Wynn are doing with it. I kind of like that every issue so far has ended with a cliffhanger, you know, big cliffhanger. So even though that's a gimmick, I kind of like it for now, and I'm really enjoying Detective Comics, and I'm definitely on board for the entire run. And that leads me into my next choice. No surprise, a lot of the same reasons as Detective. You know, being a legacy title, being able to have the privilege of getting issue 1 in the first story arc and all the ones to come of Action. But Superman Action Comic is a comic I've always wanted to read. I've picked up a few runs here and there, but I've never like had a full run of Action, obviously. And not many people do. So this is one of the titles, one of the first two, Action and Detective, that I absolutely wanted to get. And then you put on top of that Grant Morrison doing the first story arc, maybe a few more after that. That's like icing on a cake. Very excited about this title. It's definitely one of my favorite reads so far, and one I'm definitely keeping. Okay, next up here is Aquaman. Now, this might be a surprise to some, but not to me. Aquaman is a title that I was very excited about, and I've always wanted to read a dedicated Aquaman ongoing. I've been a big fan since Brightest Day, and I've always liked Aquaman, but they've never really done him right. There's been a few runs that I enjoyed, but to have an ongoing comic that has great artwork and is written by Jeff Johns himself, I can only hope that Aquaman will become what Green Lantern became after Jeff Johns took that over. Here's hoping that John stays with Aquaman and as long as he stayed with Green Lantern, and truly make this a title that it deserves to be. I'm definitely excited and on board for the entire run. And next up here is Wonder Woman #1. Now, Wonder Woman is definitely one that I had a question mark at first. I've always wanted to like Wonder Woman. I've bought Wonder Woman before. I've bought her relaunched before. And I've always liked how it started, but then it would like dwindle and kind of go in directions I didn't like, and then I end up dropping it. So when I heard Wonder Woman was coming out, I had a lot of hopeful like feelings of what I wanted it to be, but I've been disappointed so many times that I really had a big question mark on it. And so when it came out, I had it in my saver, and then my owner of the comic store I go to, he wasn't really thrilled with it, and he told me he didn't think I would like it. So when he ended up giving it to somebody else, I was okay with it because I figured, well, he knows what I like, and I have so many titles to read anyway. But then I heard it was great, so I had to order online, paying much more than I would have if I just picked it up originally. And read the first one and ended up loving it. I like the art style, even though I wouldn't mind it changing in the future. But I really like the direction it's going. I like the writing. The writing's the best that Wonder Woman has been written, I think, probably ever in her ongoing. So I really like this, and I'm really excited about this. So definitely one I'm keeping. Next up here is Batman #1. With Scott Snyder writing Batman, one of my favorite writers, with Greg Capullo doing the pencils. I've always liked his work, especially with Spawn. This was a team that I knew was going to bring Batman to the heights that it always should have been. I've always enjoyed Batman, but it was never a must-get title. But now, for the first time in a long time, Batman is a must-get title and has taken the reins from Detective as, though, if you're going to get one Bat book, this is the one. Definitely on board for the whole run. Here's hoping that Scott and Greg stay on this title for a long time. And next up here is Batwoman, and this is a title I was very, very excited about. I read Batwoman, the run that she had with Detective. Absolutely loved it. And then Zero issue came out quite a long time ago, and I was eating that up like candy. It was fantastic. A beauty to look at, fantastic to read. There was like no wrong that I felt Batwoman and this team could do. And then it didn't come out like forever. And now that it's here, I would say this is one of the absolutely must-get titles. All these titles are must-gets for me, but like if you're only getting a handful, maybe 5 titles, this would have to be one of your 5. It is absolutely must-get, and anyone who's not going to get Batwoman is going to be missing out. So I'm definitely on board. Next up is Batgirl. Now, after reading the last full run of Batgirl, being on since issue 1, Stephanie Brown, I just loved the Batgirl comic. So now Batgirl being relaunched, and Barbara Gordon taking back her mantle as Batgirl, her being younger, and them kind of refresh kind of start for Barbara Gordon. Even though the continuity's here, it's definitely changed. Everything had been shortened, and she has not been Oracle for very long, and she definitely did not have the use for legs, but for a much shorter period of time. It was a not permanent situation. And here she is, young, fresh, and Batgirl all over again. This is a title that's written by another one of my favorite writers, Gail Simone, and the artwork on here is just really well done. Definitely Batgirl was one of the titles I knew I wanted to get, and I'm definitely on board for the entire run. Next up here is Nightwing. Now, I always liked Nightwing. I've never had a full run of Nightwing back in the day. I was never really a fan of Nightwing's old uniform, especially the collar one, the blue and the yellow and black, and oh man, I was not a fan. I kind of liked how it was changed later on. They took away the collar. It was kind of similar to how it is now, but with different colors. I kind of like that one. But this costume I really like, and I'm a big Dick Grayson fan, so I definitely knew I was going to have to be picking up Nightwing. I wanted to know what's happening with Dick Grayson. The continuity is still here. He was Batman for a year. Now he's Nightwing again. So all of that, I definitely wanted to be on board. And after reading the first issue, I really like this. I like the direction it's in. And being a big Dick Grayson fan, I will definitely be keeping my eye on this and reading the entire run. And last up for my absolute must-gets is Batman and Robin. This is a title that I also have from issue number 1. I have Morrison's run. I have everything that was written in the last volume, and I absolutely loved it. And now with the relaunch, we're keeping our continuity, and we're now finally getting the father-son team of Bruce Wayne as Batman and Damian Wayne as Robin. After the first issue, I was very happy. This has been a solid title for the entire run of the last volume, and I have strong faith in this being another great run, entire run for Batman and Robin. So these are the titles that I am absolutely on board 100%. And my next posting I'm going to post right after this will be my second tier of books, the ones that I won't be keeping all of them, but I definitely will be keeping the ones that impress me the most. So with that said, thanks for watching. I would like to know what titles are in your 2 stacks, the ones you're for sure keeping, the ones you have a question mark on. So please let me know, and let me know what you think of my choices. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.